Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a quick look at and walking you through the install of this set of front wheel bearing and hub assemblies available for your 2005 to 2014 Mustang. Now you should be considering this affordable set for the front end of your S197 if you've recently started hearing a little bit of added noise coming from the front end and you're looking for a budget-friendly set of replacements as opposed to forking out big money at your local Ford dealer. So the big feature here will be the fact that you're getting not one, but two hub and bearing assemblies for your Mustang for south of $200. Now maybe you or your shop have determined you need a new bearing and hub assembly after hearing a noise. Maybe you did the old wheel shake and got some vibration. Whatever the case, it's time to start looking for a replacement. Now these will be a direct swap, essentially plug and play set that will get your S197 right again, but without breaking the bank. Materials and construction will be practically identical to that of the stockers in every single way and will include both fronts, of course. Fitting the 05 to 14 cars will feature the wheel studs already pressed into place. Hub and bolt pattern, of course, will be the same as stock, and that thread pitch will allow for your stock or aftermarket lug nuts to work just fine. Now, the assemblies also get backed by a limited lifetime warranty, and that's always a good thing in case you run into any defects. Price point for the pair of assemblies, again, might be lumped in with our list of features earlier, as these guys are gonna hover right around that high $100 range here, just south of $200, which honestly is, I would say, what my local dealer is gonna charge you for a single side. So the fact that you're looking to replace both at that price point certainly does make this the budget-friendly choice at the end of the day. Getting into the install, and the site's gonna call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you at least an hour to complete from start to finish. And now we're gonna throw things to an AM customer for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown. Check it out.
So these are the tools that you're gonna be using for the installation. That's the wheel bearing, the hammer, screwdriver, and the 36. Those you will need once you've taken off the caliper and the rotor. However, if you don't have the 36, you can get one or rent one at your local auto parts, and they will return the money once you're done with the installation and just return them. The 15, this one is mostly just to kind of have a little better angle at it, and the 14, you don't really need the 14. I just use an extra wrench to use as a lever once everything is a little too tight. So it kind of helps me kind of angle it better. This one helps mostly with just having better leverage if something is a little too tight or if something just doesn't really want to budge. This definitely helps you get more of an angle. However, you can use your wrench and use a little bit of a stick. This is the stick that you can kind of more or less use just to angle it in between under here and then pull. Hello everyone, so today we're going to be working on my 2013 V6 Mustang, and we're going to be replacing the front wheel bearing and assemblies. So we're going to begin the installation by taking off the front wheel. We are going to begin on the passenger side, but please make sure to always have this one up, just so that you don't trip and fall when you move around the area that you're going to be working on. So to take off the lug nuts, we're going to be using the 21 fitted lug nut socket. Once the wheel has been removed, we can now put it under the car just for extra precaution in case the jack stand doesn't hold out. Once you can access the brake caliper, I know they mentioned in the video to take this little 12mm off to take off the brake pads and everything. However, you can just take off this 15, and I believe there's one at the bottom here. I don't know if you guys can see it from this. Since it is a bit difficult for me to prop the camera back here, I'm just gonna take off the screws and show you guys. So when things are a little bit too hard to move, I usually like to get a wrench and have another one that just like that and push it in, just so that it's a little easier to kind of maneuver around it. So now we do the same thing to the one at the bottom, which is right here. And again, I can't really show you guys because it's hard for me to prop the camera back here. However, I will show you once the screw is out. Once both screws have been removed, you want to be able to move this one, just jimmy out of it. And you want to move it out of the way, but try to keep it somewhere where it can be held, just because it is heavy and it could potentially break something if you just leave it hanging. So once everything out of the way and we have access to the rotor, we're gonna dismount it just to gain access to the actual wheel bearing. Once the rotor is out of the way, we're gonna be to remove this little cap just to gain access to a little like screw that's inside that will take off the whole wheel bearing. And we'll be able to show the difference just on how the new one looks and how this one looks. Once you're able to remove the hubcap that was right here, you're gonna gain access to this little like screw here, and it should be a 36 fitted if I'm not wrong, but double check just to not graze it or anything like that. Once you're able to take that lug nut off, you want to verify that both parts look relatively the same, just a little cleaner, just so that there isn't any misconception with the car, and make sure that everything fits and runs very well. Once you've made sure that the wheel hub is exactly the same and has the same components, which would include the ABS, I think it's here in the back, it's this one. You're gonna want to put this one back and make sure that it's very tightly put on, as it does hold most of the weight. Once everything is tightly screwed on, you're gonna want to put the hubcap back on, and it won't go all the way in, as you can see, but because it is a pressure-based component, so you're gonna have to kind of hit it a little bit around. I personally like to use the little 21 just to kind of like not hit everything directly, so that nothing breaks. Once your hubcap is tightly put on, and make sure that there is no spaces in between, just so nothing can get inside, you're gonna want to put your rotor back on. And just before you put on the brake pads and everything, I usually like to put a little lug nut, which I don't have at the moment. So before I put on anything on the brake pads, I like to kind of press it again and just put one of the lug nuts of the wheel and just keep it tightly in there so that nothing moves while I'm working the area. So just like in the beginning of the video, I do need to put two 15 little screws in the back over here, but I can't show you because I can't mount the camera in the back, so I'm just gonna show you guys when I'm tightening it. Just to make sure that it is tightly put on there, we are gonna utilize this little another wrench just for this little truck again, just to give it a nice little tug to make sure it's properly secured. Now that both screws have been tightened together, we're going to put the wheel back on and make sure that everything is tightly screwed on once more, and then again once we have lowered the car, just to make sure that it is properly secured and very tight. Now do remember that to tighten the wheel, you do have to follow a certain pattern just because it's more less work than it would be from doing it the other way. So you want to follow a star-shaped pattern just because it does move. As you can see, it's moving from one side to the other. We are going to tighten again, but yeah, you want to get to that point just to make it a little easier on yourself. Taking it off, however, is a different story, but yeah, once you see it spin, just move on. Almost didn't follow my pattern. And best for last. Once you have more or less tightened it around, we're gonna lower the car and tighten it one more time. Just for extra precaution, it should be followed just because you don't want your wheel to be, you know, flying off in the middle of the drive. Same thing, we're gonna follow the star-shaped pattern.
So wrapping things up here, guys, again, if you are looking to replace some damaged or worn out wheel bearings on your S197, be sure to check out this affordable replacement set right here at AmericanMuscle.com.